cold in here.
Yeah.
It got cold in here.
One of the things that's very important when you get to this stage is make sure you have one of these things to keep your lineup card in. As you're moving in from rec ball, or if you haven't done formal softball before, you have to keep a complete lineup. We do not accept scrap pieces of paper with Sally and Jane and Mary, a thing like this, because we have to keep records of what's going on in the game. And UTRIP has a number of situations that I'll be doing over the next several weeks because we did a traditional lineup with roster batting, things of that nature, and they have exceptions to it. So be aware of that. What I'm going to show you today is the traditional lineup and what I do to keep a lineup. If you want to modify it, feel free to do so. This is a suggestion. After doing games several times, I'm saying, how can I make this easier for myself? Did a little bit of research. Some of the symbols I use came from a college manual that might be dated now because I've used it for a number of years, but it keeps things simple for me. I know Rick and I have had this discussion. He has his method of doing things. This is just a suggestion. All right, first of all, with lineups, these are things that occur. They are the responsibility of the home plate umpire. There are two types of lineups. There's the traditional lineup, which I'll be doing today, and UTRIP has what's called roster batting, which will be down the road a little bit. And anything above UTRIP does not use roster batting. High school and colleges do not use that. They're pretty much married into the traditional lineup. You must know the clerical requirements, number of players required to begin and finish a game, maximum number of offensive players allowed, substitution procedures, the use of the DP flex, use of APs or additional players. Once again, they are not used anything above USSSA. Rules for courtesy runners and what to do if an injury occurs. So there's quite a few responsibilities, and the underlying comment is the safety of the players, and you don't want injuries to occur because you do something that's not supposed to happen. All right, this is what I do. I try to simplify the symbols I use. For the most part, I resort to 4 symbols. I use a check mark to indicate that participation has occurred in the game. I use a / or a fraction bar to indicate that a substitution has occurred. I use a circle or an oval to indicate that there's re-entry. All girls have 1 re-entry privilege. After they've left the game a second time, I use an X to indicate that that person has used up their eligibility. For the most part, I use these 4 symbols. There are other things as we go on. All right. Obviously, if you're doing a lineup, we do not take first names only. We have a formal lineup. One of the things that's been mentioned a couple times with the lineup cards, many of the printed ones have the word substitution over on the right-hand side. What that means is that this person has now substituted for the person on the left. When the coach gives you their lineup, and I wouldn't get too picky with this initially, but the substitution should be at the bottom because we need the stuff to the right to write on it. I know I'm doing it backwards from you, but I think you get the idea. All right. Now, in a lineup, obviously, you're going to have a batting order. It's the arrangement of people batting. All right. Now, you have to have players' names. All organizations require first name and last name, except high school. High school still allows the first initial. No one else requires that. I wish high school would get on the ball. No intention with those names up there. But you can see if you have twins or something, the initials would be the same. I always use the George Foreman things because all his kids' first name is George. They all go by their middle name. So, and you have the various names of people on your team. You in U-Trip, you may start the game with 8 players. If they only have 8 players, it must be put at the end of the lineup where that 9th spot will be an out. I had a coach that wanted to know if they could put the out in the middle of the lineup. I had no idea why, but I said no, it has to go at the end of the lineup. I also do things for this for high school. In high school, you must start with 9 players. Now, in U-Trip, you must finish with 8 players. Anytime you go below 8 players, it's a forfeit. So part of the problem with starting with 8 people, you hope that someone doesn't get hurt because the game's over if they can't continue. All right, and high school may finish with 8 players as well. All right, the players are expected to have unique numbers. When it comes to who is the official player, we go by the name. Sometimes for whatever reason, especially on weekend ball where they're doing more than one game, things happen to uniforms and the uniforms has a different number. A classic example, we're dealing with girls. I had a 16-year-old girl do a head first slide and rip the front of her shirt. I'm not going to let her put a different shirt on. I don't think so. But we've had protests because there is no number 10 on the roster. That means nothing. Do we have the correct girl there to determine that? Now, what's wrong with this, though?
2 threes.
2 threes. If this occurs in U-Trip, all you do is correct it. All right? In high school, that would be considered a clerical error. You're allowed 1 mistake in high school. Second mistake, the coach is restricted to the bench. And this is what this will say right here. You have to be realistic. Teams are doing 3 to 4 games a day, and sometimes they're walking from field to field, and the coach's wife is trying to write a lineup up as they're walking from field to field, and they make a clerical error. Why are we going to penalize them? You have to understand, these teams are paying a lot of money to play in these games. We're not in the business of kicking people out. We're trying to keep people in the games, so we don't penalize them under the circumstances. All right, and I just said that. They need to have positions listed. They can use either the letters or the corresponding numbers for that position. And then all your substitutes should be at the bottom of the lineup. I wish they would do lineup cards that look like this, but unfortunately they don't. I created my own lineup card, but it was like this long, but we'll get into that in a minute. All right. Now, I'm going to give you some situations of how I do this. Here's situation 1. I want to have dot matrix substitute for crystal ball. Now notice my 4 symbols that I use. I have dot matrix. All right. As soon as I do this is slowing down, I put a check next to her name because she's now has participated in the game. And you'll need that information later. All right, then I go up to crystal ball and I put my / or fraction bar to indicate that a substitution has occurred, and I put the person's number who is now substituting for him. I ask the coaches for numbers. If you notice the side of my head and in my ear, I have a hearing deficiency. So Some people say I talk too much anyway, but that's beside the point. I usually have the coaches stand next to me so that they can see me visually write down the number I'm putting on there. Because I've had situations where they said, come back the next inning and said, I didn't say that, and they want something else in the game, and how do I prove they didn't? They have to stand next to me to make sure what I'm doing is correct. I'm getting past the mark. Sorry about that. All right, so you tell me. Here's the next substitution. What am I going to do? Coach wants to substitute polygraph for Nantucket. What do I do?
So next to Nantucket, you have a slash.
Okay, I find Nantucket. First of all, I find polygraph.
Polygraph, put a check.
All right, so she's here. What am I going to do there?
Give a check.
All right, so I put that. Come on, this isn't working. Polygraph. Then I find Nantucket. She's up there, and I put the slash mark there,
And then 19 next.
and I put the number there. Notice that I don't have to write the name out. It keeps it simple, keeps it fast. Now, some of these lineup cards don't have enough space here, then I'll just put it over here. Yeah,
This is the place in your program where I mentioned that don't accept them saying Mary's coming in for Susie, or it's number. I need a number, coach. I mean, just be, so when they say Mary's going in, so I need a number. So I mean, Dave's presentation is cool, but we need to make sure we have the number correct. So.
all right. So situation number 3, the coach wants to re-enter crystal ball. I use my third symbol, and I just simply put the circle over to indicate now that that person has re-entered the game. All right. Situation 4, the coach wants to re-enter dot matrix. So now I have 2 circles, and it went a little bit faster than I wanted it to. I'll go back. I have 2 open circles there. Can't have 2 open circles in my format. Only one can be open. What happened here is crystal ball has now left the game a second time, and therefore she has used up her eligibility. So I put an X there. All right. Situation 5, the coach wants to have a defensive conference. They are allowed 3 conferences per game. Well, I've got to watch it more. If they change the pitcher, it doesn't count as a substitution. But let's just say they come out 3 times and they talk to the same pitcher. After the third time, when they come out, if they come out a 4th time, they must change the pitcher, and they must change the pitcher every time they come out after that. So I want to keep track of how many conferences that are charged. So when they come out in the margins, the first time they come out, maybe she did something and the coach is upset with her for some reason. I put conference number 1 and I put the inning that it occurred. And I keep putting these on there to indicate if we get to 3. Seldom, if ever, happens. I've actually told coaches, you come out the next time, I'm tackling you. All right, so I don't want to get into the situation where they run out of players.
It's 3 conferences per pitcher or per game?
If they come out for pitcher number 1 and then leave, and then they bring another pitcher in,
And come out just for.
come out and talk to her,
That's number 2.
and then that's number 2.
Okay.
All right. Now, if they come out and actually take the player out, that doesn't count. All right. The coach wants to use peg leg. She's one of my fastest runners. The courtesy run for, I got some smiles out of you. As a courtesy runner for the catcher in the second. Again, I don't have symbols for this, so I go into short things. Courtesy runner for the catcher in the second. Now, do I put a check mark there? In order to be a courtesy runner, it must be someone who has not participated in the game. Therefore, when they use as a courtesy runner, they are not considered a substitute, so therefore they still have not participated. Doesn't make sense, they've participated, but they haven't participated. They're not an official substitute. Did I confuse you when I said?
No, but isn't that different in,
If you don't have substitutes.
correct? This is only for,
Courtesy runner.
no, this is only for like high school and,
Right now, Dave's,
No,
This is for you,
If they
Drew.
have substitutes, then you use the courtesy runner.
correct?
If there's no substitutes, they're only
So
playing with
roster,
nine,
so
then it's the
roster.
last completed at bat.
We haven't
Right,
got,
so-
we haven't got, we'll get into that
So
later.
that's something different.
That's
Okay.
different though, we'll get into that later. All right, you're just thinking ahead.
Okay, I'm
okay.
just curious.
All right, so I just marked down where the courtesy, and there's a reason why I do that, I'll get to that in a minute. All right, the situation 7, the coach wants to change his pitcher. Again, the people who are entitled to a courtesy runner are the pitcher and the catcher. Let's make this straight. The pitcher and the catcher cannot be courtesy runners for the other one. They try to do that. They can't do that. The whole idea is because it's hot or it's a situation, they either try to speed up the game or they're trying to give the pitcher and the catcher, get them off the field in the heat. So that's why they do that. All right, so they want to change pitchers. We don't have the luxury of doing it electronically, so I put down pitcher in the third. Why do I put pitcher in the third? Because she's the one who now is eligible for the courtesy runner. You must physically play the defensive position before you can be given the courtesy runner. You'll have coaches that girl hits a double, I want to put a courtesy runner in because she's going to be my pitcher the next inning. She's not the pitcher. She hasn't played pitcher yet. So that's why I keep note of it. And I just said that. All right. Coach wants to use Allie Katz as a courtesy runner for the pitcher in the third. So I use the same thing. Only thing is this one says pitcher, this one says catcher. All right. I'll come back to the reason for that in a little while. A player arrives late. Can we add her to the lineup? Yes, no? Are they allowed to come late?
Yeah, they're going at the end.
We never prevent a girl from playing. So, yeah, it is allowed. She comes late. The reason I have this up here in U-Trip, because they're playing multiple games or they, something happened and they're coming from different directions. I mean, you got teams now that are comprised of girls from Howard County and Baltimore County and Anne Arundel County, and they form a team. And so they're coming and they make you caught in traffic. In U-Trip, there is no penalty. In high school, it's considered a clerical error, and the coach can be restricted to the bench. And I do both, so I have it on here. In high school, I just tell the coaches, put all their substitutes on there, whether they're there or not. All right?
Question.
Yeah.
If Missy was not listed as a substitute, though, can she still play?
Yeah,
You said-
what you do is,
But if she wasn't on the lineup card, and then she shows up later,
yeah,
it
she's
would
still,
have been wise for you to go ahead and put her still down as a substitute.
you put her down as a substitute, and now she's eligible to be playing in the game.
Right,
Yeah.
but if she was never listed,
The
she still is.
coach can tell you.
But they have to tell you she arrived late. I mean, all right, she arrived late, and they didn't tell you, okay, this girl's, I'm gonna, whenever they tell her, she's eligible.
Okay.
yeah, in U-Trip, there's unlimited corrections that can be made
Right.
like that. In high school, it is different. Okay, but in this world, as long as she's an eligible,
Yeah, as long as
eligible
she's
player,
long
Like in
as-
high school, you list your whole team, and
well, you don't have
should.
to, but
You don't have
but
to.
But it's not going to hurt you.
No, it's not gonna hurt you to do it, but sometimes they don't for whatever reason.
Yeah,
So that's, I was just.
I mean, I'm trying to avoid U-Trip high school regulations here, but you know, you get into high school and kids are taking advanced placement tests, or they're doing this and this and that, and they might show up late. Well, and then the coach doesn't put them down. Well, if they do 2 of those, the coach is restricted to the bench. All right, so I tell them, who's all the players on your team? Just list them whether they're here or not. Then there's no penalty. In this case, even if they forget to write them down, they can add them, and U-Trip, we don't think anything of it. All right? All right, again, the coach wants Mandolin to return to the pitcher. All I do is, now she's pitching. The biggest problem I have is when they change multiple pitchers in the same inning. I have to start, okay, pitcher in the 4th. Then I put a line underneath of it, and then I put a line, double line under it. Then I put a triple line under it to let me know who the current pitcher is. I come up with symbols to make it simple. All right. Multiple substitutions occur. Just ignore this because I'm going to do this fast. A team is winning by a lot. And most of the time, most of these teams only have 11 or 12 players. They don't have this whole list of things. They're not going to get in the game anyway. And, you know, if you're paying a fee to sit on the bench, that's not going to work. But if this would happen, you know, I'm going to do this fast. They keep switching people every time somebody comes up to bat. They put a different batter in so the girl gets to play. Well, then you start getting into this situation. All right, now she's re-entered. I got an oval there. Now this person re-entered. I can't have 2 open circles, so what's going to happen? All right, somebody's going to have to be used up their eligibility, things of this nature, and it goes from there. And then this person's going to use their eligibility. I think you got the idea of what I'm doing there. All right, now the coach wants Ellie Katz to a courtesy run for the catcher in the 6th. So now we do this. Is that allowed? Yes, no? All right, well,
Different innings.
I'll tell you the answer. All right, is this okay? This is okay in U-Trip. In high school, it goes by the game. Once you courtesy run for the pitcher, you're locked into the pitcher. If you courtesy run for the catcher in high school, you're locked into the catcher. In U-Trip, as long as it's not the same inning, you can switch. And that goes to my next question. You know, can Peg Leg wants the courtesy run for the pitcher in the 2nd. All right, now it's in the same inning. Both high school and U-Trip do not allow them to courtesy run for both within the same inning. They feel it's manipulating the lineup somewhat, so they don't allow that. So be careful. You know, they want to switch, and I'm not looking at my lineup, how close they are together. They could be in a situation where that could occur. We don't allow it in the same inning.
They can be, you can put in pitch runners, but they have to be different people.
Yeah.
Courtesy runner.
Courtesy runner.
Pitch runner's a substitute.
As long as they have people, and that's the whole purpose for that check mark. You know, that's the next question. You know, we go into here. I want to put this person in for a courtesy runner. Can I do that? And you come over here and you look at this. A courtesy runner must be somebody who has not participated in the game. That's why I put the check marks there, to remind me that they've participated in the game. And then you'll find out that, no, you can't do this. To be honest with you, I hope you don't do that. That's an illegal substitution. And it's going to hit the fan, because now you're kicking people out of the game. And my time up? So we go from there. And now already in the game. You don't want to, you prevent illegal substitutions. Illegal substitutions are bye-bye. So don't let it happen. That's why you have a lineup card. And I think if this thing will do it, I'm finished.